Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a while, and that's not on purpose, and it's not because I haven't had time or haven't been reading books. I have been reading a lot. I just film when no one else is home, and lately someone has been home all the time. But I found a free moment, so here I am. I have several tags to get out of the way, so here goes. I'll put annotations below so you can skip ahead to a specific tag if you would like. The first one is the Readabits tag. There are 7 questions and it's about reading habits. The first question is, when do you find yourself reading? Morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you get the chance, or all day? I read whenever I get around to it. My schedule changes a lot each day of the week, but I do usually try to read in the evening if nothing else. The second question is, do you read only one book at a time? And I pretty much do. There are a few other books that I'm reading occasionally and am slowly making progress on, but I'm pretty much putting all my focus on just one book. The third question is, what is your favorite setting to be in when you read? I usually read on my bed. I would like to read in this chair, but usually it's serving as a storage space, depending on recent projects that I'm working on. And when I film, I just clear everything off and throw it on my bed. The fourth question is, what do you do first? Read it or watch the movie? I try to always read the book first. If I see the movie first, it's usually because I didn't know it was a book. Question number 5 is, what form of a book do you prefer? Audiobook, ebook, or physical book? Definitely physical book, although I have nothing against the other 2 forms. Physical books are just more comfortable for me to use. Question number 6 is, do you have a unique habit or routine that you do when you read? And I don't really. I don't usually make tea or grab a special blanket, nothing like that. I just sit and read, and that's it. And the last question is, do book series have to match or does it matter? As I talked about in the book covers tag, I definitely like the covers to match, but as long as the spine and cover aren't too different, then I'm okay with it. And so the second tag is the if I were a book tag. And this started a long time ago, and I was tagged by Jessie the Reader ages ago, but I haven't gotten around to it like these other tags. So here we go. Before I really get into it, I just want to say that this was a hard tag for me to come up with answers for. I wasn't sure if I should base the answers on whether the book is based on my personality, or if I were to write a book myself, or a book based on my actual life. So I tried to answer them as if I were turned into a book based on my actual personality. The first question is, what format would it be? A novel, a collection of short stories, a graphic novel, etc. I think it might be a graphic novel or a book with at least a lot of illustrations in it, because I am a very visual person and I'm an artist as well. Even though I personally don't read a lot of graphic novels, I think that's what it would be. So maybe something like Wonderstruck or The Invention of Hugo Cabret. The second question is, what would your genre be? I think it would be pretty close to reality with maybe a little bit of fantasy thrown in, maybe through like an alternate reality going on in my head or something like that, since there's my life and then there's the life I live through reading all of these books. Question number 3 is, how much would be fictional? I think a lot of it would be fictional. It would be kind of based on my life, but then going in some different imagined direction, if that makes sense. Question number 4, would your book be a long or short period of your life? I think maybe it would be a few years long. Question number 5, would there be an antagonist? Who is your he who must not be named? I think probably not. Maybe just myself or fate. Question number 6 is, what world would you like to live in? Whether it's the actual world, an already established fictional world, or one that I've made up. I think it would be a made-up world, maybe pretty similar to the actual world we live in, but with different names for places and different buildings and landmarks and all of that. Maybe one that had links to lands from other stories, like Hogwarts and Narnia and stuff. Question number 7, what era would you live in, past, present, or future? I think it would be pretty much present, or maybe slightly into the future. Question number 8 is, what kind of timeline would it be? Like a linear, cyclical, reverse chronology, or anachronic. You can look those definitions up if you want to, but I would say mine would be pretty linear. And the last question, what would be the plot twist? I think it would be something like the twists in Divergent, where Triss is actually dauntless instead of abnegation. I think I can kind of relate to that. So hopefully my answers made sense and weren't totally lame, but that was really hard to think about and imagine, so I hope you enjoyed it. And now for the third and last tag. It's the favorite lit characters / baby names tag, created by Emily the Odd One. Basically you pick out 5 or 10 or however many you want male and female characters from books whose names you like or just characters you like, and you say what book they're from and read a quote by or about that character. So I'll start with the girls. The first one is Elizabeth in Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I love her because I love that she is smart and witty. She knows her standards and has strong opinions. I also love that she's flawed and sticks to her gut, but she's not so stubborn that she refuses to reconsider when the time comes. I would totally name my daughter Elizabeth. It's a very convertible name with lots of nicknames, and it's also the middle name of one of my closest cousins, and she named her daughter's middle name my first name, so I think that would be pretty cool. I think a cool middle name to go with Elizabeth would be Jane. And the quote that I'm going to read is a conversation between Darcy and Elizabeth, and I really love Elizabeth's reply. "I have been used to consider poetry as the food of love," said Darcy. "Of a fine, stout, healthy love it may. Everything nourishes what is strong already. But if it be only a slight, thin sort of inclination, I am convinced that one good sonnet will starve it entirely away." So along those lines, I also like the name Emily Catherine for Emily Bronte and Catherine Earnshaw from Wuthering Heights, which is my favorite book. I like Catherine's character for a lot of the same reasons that I like Lizzie Bennet. Strong-willed, with opinions, and definitely flawed. She really is an interesting character and goes through a lot in the book. So even though she's not the most lovable person, she's still a great character to read. And the quote is one said by Catherine in the first half of the book. "It would degrade me to marry Heathcliff now, so he shall never know how I love him. And that not because he's handsome, Nelly, but because he's more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same, and Linton's is as different as a moonbeam from lightning, or frost from fire." Another female character I adore is of course Hermione from Harry Potter. She's smart, has ideals, saves the day, but she's also willing to break the rules and have a little fun. She's incredibly loyal to her friends. I would not name my daughter Hermione. And the quote, "But why she got to go to the library?" "Because that's what Hermione does," said Ron, shrugging. "When in doubt, go to the library." And the last two female characters are both from A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones, and they are Arya and Daenerys. Both are very strong characters, making their own way in the world, and confronting their foes without fear or cowardice. They both grow and mature in the books, and I can't wait to see where the rest of the series takes them. I probably wouldn't name my daughter after either of them, because the names are just a little too odd for me, especially Daenerys. And the quote for Arya, "Valar Morghulis." And the quote for Daenerys, "Dracarys." So that was my 5 female picks, and now on to the men. Well, obviously number 1 has to be Darcy. His full name is Fitzwilliam Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, also by Jane Austen, of course. I feel like I can really sympathize with Darcy because I also am shy and have social anxiety and don't always communicate myself well in person. And also, he's a good guy with good intentions. I wouldn't name my son Darcy or Fitz or probably even William. I actually don't have very many boy names picked out that I do like. I just haven't thought about it as much. And the Darcy quote, "I cannot fix on the hour or the spot or the look or the words which laid the foundation. It is too long ago. I was in the middle before I knew that I had begun." One of my favorite male characters from the Harry Potter series is Severus Snape. And no, I would not name my kid Severus or Snape, but he's a great character because he keeps you guessing, and at the end, well, you know. And my favorite quote by him is one said in Deathly Hallows towards the very end, and that is, "Look at me." If you've read the books or seen the movies, you know what I'm talking about. My favorite male character from A Song of Ice and Fire is Jon Snow, for reasons that I have already elucidated in previous videos. But I would not name my son Jon because that's my brother's name and it would just be too confusing. And the quote said to Jon Snow, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." For those of you who have only seen the TV series, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Two names that do stick out to me as far as naming kids go are are Edward and James. I probably won't use James because there are a lot of Jameses and Jamies in my family, but I like the name James Logan. But that doesn't really come from any literary character. But Edward is obviously tied to a lot, like Jane Austen books, and Bronte books, and Stephenie Meyer books. And I kind of don't want to use that name because people will just think I named my kid after Edward Cullen. And that just wouldn't be true. But it's also Edward Ferrars from Sense and Sensibility and Edward Rochester from Jane Eyre. So the quote that I have chosen for this one is from Jane Eyre, and it is a conversation between Rochester and Jane. "Am I hideous, Jane?" "Very, sir. You always were, you know." And for the fifth one, a favorite male character, I chose Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings. He's a good guy with a great inner struggle going on, a hero, and his story is really great. I would not name my son Aragorn. And for the quote, "I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and if by life or death I can save you, I will." And that is the end of my multi-tag video. I hope you enjoyed it, got something out of it. If you want to do any of these tags, feel free, and hopefully I'll have another video out for you soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.